Hi, I'm Melissa Pinkham, and I'm the author of the book Emergent Curriculum with Toddlers, Learning Through Play. Several years ago, I entered the classroom, again, working with toddlers in a full-time program, and it gave me lots of opportunity and long blocks of time to be with toddlers. And what I discovered is toddlers have amazing inquiries and ideas and questions about their environment, their relationships with themselves, their people in the environment, their families, and their socialization process, and what they're feeling in terms of emotional development. And when I went to do the research, what I found was there was no books actually addressing specifically on the topic of emergent curriculum with toddlers, which was surprising to me since 0 to 3 is such an important time and a critical time in brain development. And so I decided at that point that it really needs to be a book that is accessible and available and help teachers understand the process of implementing emergent practices with their toddlers. Emergent curriculum with toddlers looks much different than it does with preschoolers. And one of the reasons is that toddlers are very active. And so you rely on observing their actions, the way that they interact with the environment, the way that they communicate in terms of being verbal, but also being nonverbal. Something else to remember is that toddlers will communicate verbally, but a lot of their communication is nonverbal. So you really rely on their gesture, on their expressions, and on their physical actions, on how they interact with the environment, so you can understand their investigations. One of the biggest challenges I face when working with teachers is how I can support their knowledge and understanding emergent practices. And so we spend a great deal of time working on observation and learning how to sit and listen with children, taking sources of emergent curriculum, and also doing a lot of documentations. Documentation is really important when you are doing emergent curriculum because you are making the learning visible to families. And we use photographs and anecdotal notes to achieve that. In the book, I add lots of stories, real stories and real experiences that happen in the classroom. I bring in a lot of teachers' reactions and responses and feedback as well, so we can understand what works for them and what doesn't work for them. And also clearing up the misconceptions in terms of what emergent curriculum looks like in the toddler program. My hope is that this book can be inspiring and accessible to teachers so that we can provide toddlers with curriculum that is meaningful and contextual to them. When you incorporate emergent curriculum with toddlers, it builds a healthy relationship to learning at a very young age, which I think is critical in terms of their learning dispositions. And I'm hoping that teachers will embrace the practice of emergent curriculum. This book is accessible for toddler teachers and course adoption pertaining to toddler development and toddler curriculum. I want to thank all the sales reps that are working to promote this book to the world. Thank you very much.
I'm Lisa Daly, co-author of the best-selling, award-winning Loose Parts series that has been inspiring early childhood educators here in the United States and internationally, as the books have been translated into multiple languages. And today I am excited to introduce to you my latest work, which is Transforming Your Outdoor Early Learning Environment. The book concept really came from educators who wanted to do a deeper dive about loose parts and ask questions. Are there really loose parts environments? And if so, what do they look like? And how do you actually go about designing them? And that is exactly what this book does. It provides a reflective, inquiry-based process that walks educators through the designing, transforming, and maintaining of captivating, engaging, and aesthetically beautiful outdoor spaces. It is an approach that requires minimal financial resources, features loose parts, uses upcycled materials, and integrates those natural resources. Additionally, it supports equitable learning, as the open-ended nature of loose parts and the flexible spaces accommodates all children. The book consists of 11 specific play zone chapters. There are art studios, clay studios, mud kitchens, sound gardens, small world environments, construction zones, trajectory zones, sand areas, water areas, and ends with cozy areas. How great is that, right? In each chapter, I share ideas, inspirations, and benefits for changing those outdoor spaces through tons of guidance, practical application, through helpful strategies, as well as hundreds of rich visual images. You will find before and after photos, top design tips, lists and images of appropriate materials, loose parts for each space, as well as organizational and storage systems, and photos of actual zones in home-based and center-based programs. And that actually is who the target audience is for this book. Educators who are working with children birth through age 5 in those types of programs. Additionally, administrators and decision makers who influence the operation and direction of programs, who handle the financial aspects of it and maintaining of the spaces, would benefit from this book. And as ECE faculty, I would definitely use this book in any environment, curriculum, or practicum course. I look forward to transforming your outdoor early learning environment, positively impacting and inspiring early childhood educators, just as the Loose Part series has done. Thank you.
My name is Jill McFarren Avilés, and I was born and raised in Bolivia, South America.
My name is Erika Amadee Flores, and I've been in the field of early childhood for over 20 years. I'm a Mexican American, and I've lived and worked in settings that are very diverse, from people from many cultures. We wrote this book because coaching is currently very important in early childhood education. We know it's one of the strongest tools to help improve quality. However, we found that many people are coaching in the field more to help comply to the test or to improve scores and standardized tools that are being used. And we realized that many times educators do not have enough buy-in or connection. So we really through our experiences, think that through being more connected in the human side of the person that you're supporting from a culturally responsive approach, we'll be able to increase quality and thinking in terms of more long-term improvement and growth in our field.
As we were writing this book, we were thinking of who is the audience. And we realized that it were coaches like ourselves who are working with diverse early childhood educators, who come from different cultures from the people who we're working with. And we wanted to support the coaches to really think out of the box and be responsive and connect, and be fostering equity amongst all of the people that they're working with. We also looked at supervisors and educators who are being servant leaders and supporting the early childhood workforce to connect, to understand themselves, to build those connections that we think are so important. And lastly, we thought that this book is very useful for university professors, as we are as well, and supporting their students in reflection and understanding what does culturally responsive approach mean and how that leads to equity and connectiveness, especially in the world that we're living in today. So we hope that you enjoy our book, and please share your thoughts and ideas.
I'm Anne-Marie Coughlin. I'm the Director of Education at London Bridge Childcare Services. We're a large multi-site childcare organization in Ontario, Canada.
Hi, and I'm Lorrie Baird, and I'm also a pedagogical leader for an organization, Compass Early Learning and Care in Peterborough, Ontario. I've been working in the field for about 36, 37 years as an early childhood educator. We wrote this book because it didn't exist. And I think we both thought if we had have had this book 10 years ago, what a difference it would have made in our careers. Pedagogy itself is a word that is new often to the early learning field, and pedagogical leadership is often something is kind of tricky to even pronounce, but leadership in early learning has often been focused on administration. And we really wanted to offer something around focusing on an approach to leadership that was supported the teaching and learning process in the classroom and supported creating a culture of reflective thinking with educators and with children.
And what we've learned in our experience is that people respond best to stories. So we know that stories emotionalize our work. They help connect the heart and the mind of our work. And our experience has also shown us that educators and leaders feel more successful when they're not left on their own, but when they have processes and systems that can support reflective thinking and relationship building. And so this book really combines those things. And it's built around these 4 overarching principles: that pedagogical leaders work from a place of vision and values, that they focus on building meaningful relationships, that they see and support competence in both children and adults, and that learning happens in multiple ways. So it really is a book that gives visibility to what pedagogical leaders' daily lives look like.
And because it's layered in real stories from our combined 70 years of research as early learning professionals, and ways that structures and protocols that we've played with and created and massaged that have helped to move us and move our very large organizations. Both Anne-Marie and I work in Ontario in these very large organizations with over 400 employees. And this role of pedagogical leader has really shifted thinking across our organizations.
And I think traditionally books around leadership, in particular leadership in early childhood, have focused on administrative tasks. And there's a strong feeling and pull towards administrative tasks in leadership. And this is a book that can show leadership in a different light. It's a practical book. One of the things that was important to us is that we know that early childhood educators come into this field because they care deeply about children, they care deeply about childhood experiences, but often what happens is they get ambushed. They get ambushed with a plethora of expectations that revolve around assessment tools and checklists, and they're often offered pre-packaged programs that promise quality, but they actually remove thinking from people. And they end up turning early childhood educators off because they make practice sterile. And it's a difficult way to live when you bring passion to your work. So this book really offers a path that can help to create vibrant, thoughtful, collaborative learning environments for both adults and children. And we're really excited about it.
Raise your hands if you like to play. Come on, don't be shy, raise your hands. Now keep them up if you feel you have the time, space, and opportunity to play the way you want and the way you need. Yeah, I see those hands coming down. Well, if you were to ask me that question a few years ago, especially when related to my public school kindergarten classroom, my hand would have been all the way down. Under the pressure to perform, I had eliminated the possibility of play and focused on academics, assessment, and data all day. And that's the way it was until something happened, or at least someone happened. You see, I noticed my brightest academic star beginning to dim when I needed her to initiate conversation, problem solve with peers, or pretty much do anything that she needed to do to survive and thrive in the real world. Along with the birth of my first child, I realized I wouldn't want my own kids to be in a classroom like mine. I needed to make a change. I needed to try something different. I needed to start teaching off trail. So what does teaching off trail even mean? Well, it can mean different things to different people, but it's about putting passion back into education. And it works for everyone. Preschool teachers, middle school teachers, administrators, parents and families, community members. It's about putting kids first and letting them lead the way with the time, space, and opportunity to play, especially out in nature. Now, whether you work with 3-year-olds or 23-year-olds, whether you work in a rural, urban, or suburban school, or whether your school is surrounded by green space or concrete, teaching off trail can and should be done across all age groups and across all settings. Teaching off trail is not a textbook, but a conversation about how I transformed my entire educational philosophy, my indoor classroom space, and created an outdoor space and nature kindergarten program by infusing more nature and play. My 4-piece philosophy of play-based, place-based, project-based, and personalized learning aims to have the curriculum fit the child, rather than squeezing the child into prescribed curriculum. My 4-piece philosophy is grounded in play, citizen science, service and stewardship, and community collaborations. So now when asked if I have the time, space, and opportunity for my class and myself to play, I raise my hand as high as I can, and I hope you do too, by turning obstacles into opportunities, embracing passion and the power of play, and most importantly, by start teaching off trail. Special thanks to the Redleaf sales team for their wonderful work in bringing my story to life, to libraries and independent bookstores everywhere for bringing magical and inspirational text out into the world, and to anyone and everyone motivated to keep the power of play alive. Thank you.
I'm Dr. Jean Barbre, and I'm very happy to be here. I'm also an author of Baby Steps to STEM through Redleaf Press. And I come to you with degrees in early childhood education. I have a master's in child and family studies, as well as a master's degree in counseling. I'm a licensed marriage family therapist as well. And I have a doctorate degree in education. I have extensive training in trauma-informed care, as well as other holistic supports that I bring to my writing on our new book.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ingrid Anderson, and I am thrilled to have written a book with Jean. I work as an early childhood educator and administrator for many years, and now I'm a faculty in infant toddler mental health. I have advanced degrees in conflict resolution in peaceable schools, and my work focuses on equity, which is infused in this book. There have been so many requests from our profession for supports for early mental health, for social emotional development, and that the needs are getting more complex in the early childhood classrooms.
Strength-based early care settings equip children with the skills and competencies needed to promote feelings of self-confidence, safety, security, and trust. Skills that promote resiliency and a positive outlook on life. The book focuses on the importance of the caregiver-child relationship, covering birth through age 5, and it looks at the individual social emotional competencies and skills and how to promote them in your classroom. The strategies, we also look at mental health and the difference between mental health and well-being.
The book also supports learning about the continuum of mental health and understanding caregivers' spheres of influence. What's appropriate and not in the early childhood classroom when it comes to mental health supports. It also supports early caregivers in identifying their early internal capacities to support children and their complex social and emotional needs. To do that, there are over 25 activities to support mental health and well-being that can happen in the classroom. We see the audience as being early care givers. We also see family, childcare, home visitors, early interventionists, and behavioral coaches who go into classrooms and support early caregivers. And this book also works well for administrators and policymakers who are doing quality initiatives in their states and in their communities.
Hello, everyone. My name is Meredith Burks. I'm with Redleaf Press, and I am excited to walk you through our final 3 books. We're going to start with the 2022 Redleaf Calendar-Keeper. After 45 years with over 2 million copies sold, the Redleaf Calendar-Keeper is still one of our most popular products for family childcare business owners. It's an all-in-one resource with expense and income tracker, monthly attendance charts, recipes, tax worksheets, And for the 2022 Calendar Keeper, we are focusing on anti-racist themes throughout the learning activities, wellness tips, and literacy corners. Next up, we have our 2021 Family Childcare Tax Companion and the 2021 Family Childcare Tax Workbook and Organizer. For 15 years, these two resources have been a favorite tool for family childcare providers at tax time. The Tax Companion is for family childcare providers working with professional tax preparers, and the Tax Workbook and Organizer is for providers handling their own taxes. It's important to us to have an annual product to stay relevant and up to date on all of the changes in tax laws. For example, how to handle closures due to COVID-19, reporting unemployment benefits, and how to treat funds from Small Business Association loan programs. For 2021, Tom Copeland is joined by co-author Bill Porter, who's the founder of Pride Tax Preparation in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Tom and Bill have worked in the same arena for decades, and we're thrilled to add Bill's expertise to the annual updates. Thank you so much for everything you do.